Whoa, it's Micah Peters, staff writer at The Ringer, and we are back again with 3 big reveals from this week's episode of Watchmen. First up, Adrian Veidt. Turns out he feels something that is a little bit like remorse. So we've theorized on this recap show about exactly who's keeping Adrian Veidt in exile, whether it was Lady True or Doc Manhattan. It's beginning to look a lot like it might just be Adrian Veidt himself. So as we've seen with this weird, chaotic subplot with Veidt on a moon orbiting Jupiter, he's basically been doing a lot of weird things with clones, and one of those clones, he's dressed up as the Game Warden, and that Game Warden's job is to keep Veidt confined to whatever the allotted space is that he's supposed to have. So what we see in this episode is the Game Warden presiding over a kangaroo court where Adrian Veidt is on trial for his many crimes, including but not limited to dropping a gigantic psychic octopus on New York and killing 3 million people, brutally killing and or mutilating his clones ad nauseum, and, just in general playing God. If you think about the clones as manifestations of the thoughts that he has or the guilt that he feels, then he's been sitting there in that same seat in his Ozymandias uniform for 365 days, just mulling over his crimes. Now, you can see this as either just another way to pass the time, like any of the other things that he's been doing in this weird subplot, or you can see it, as I did, as a literalization of the guilt that he feels for killing 3 million people. And now on to the actual big reveals. We finally know what the Seventh Calvary is up to. Somebody finally said it out loud. So in this episode, our intrepid Laurie Blake goes to call on one Jane Crawford, the widow of the deceased Judd Crawford, and, just kind of asks her a bunch of questions about what he might have been involved in and whether or not the word Cyclops means anything to her. And we find out that not only does Jane know exactly what Cyclops means, she's also in Cyclops, along with the Texas senator. And it turns out that their giant, big, evil machination is not the presidency or to control the entire nation through fear, but to be actual God himself. It was apparently the presidency was small potatoes, quote unquote. As ever with Watchmen, there are more questions. We have no idea how they're going to accomplish this feat, but it will probably have something to do with the giant machine that Laurie Blake was sitting in front of, and probably something also to do with the teleportation device that they had, and I'm sure that the words intrinsic field generator will pop up eventually. Which leads us to our final big reveal, because the Texas senator doesn't tell us exactly how he plans to accomplish this feat, but Lady True does. She tells Angela that the Seventh Cavalry's actual plan is to first kill Dr. Manhattan and then to become Dr. Manhattan. And I already know what you're thinking, because I was sort of thinking it too. How do you kill God? There's already precedent for this. In the original Watchmen comic, Doc Manhattan was quote unquote killed by tachyons, which confuse his perception of the future, and an intrinsic field generator, much like the one that he stepped into to become Dr. Manhattan. Also in the comic, he reconstitutes himself like 30 seconds later and kills Rorschach. Yeah, man, Dr. Manhattan's pretty powerful. He's immortal, intermittently incorporeal, save for the one time that his omniscience fell short, more or less all-powerful, and he's precognitive. So good luck with that, Seventh Calvary. Oh, and also another reveal inside of the reveal. Lady True intimates to Angela that not only is Doc Manhattan alive, he is walking amongst the humans in Tulsa. Weirdly, Angela doesn't react to that, and we learn why at the end of the episode. Turns out that Cal, who we really only see sleeping and reading and, just otherwise being unflappable and perfect, is Dr. Manhattan in disguise. Go figure. So in typical Watchmen fashion, we have answers and we have even more questions again. How did Angela and Doc Manhattan meet? How does Doc Manhattan suppress his powers? What is the circle floating thing that Angela pulled out of Cal's forehead? Where's Looking Glass? What does the Millennium Clock do? We don't have any of these answers yet, and we have 2 episodes left, so keep it locked for next week.